Yes. So Muhoroni is a sugar belt. What is the plight of farmers there currently regarding the sugar industry? What are they saying?
The plight of the sugar farmer or the sugar mailer in Muhoroni is gloom. This is the Ministry of Economic Hope of my constituents. And they have done very well in the past. Then they went into the abyss, more so during the Moi era, because of one vice called Sugar Baron. And as I said, I believe that my invitation will be precipitated by a statement I gave at a funeral function in Siaya, where I was joined by my colleague, the MP for Ugenya. And I want to say that the government must walk its talk. Most of the Jubilee government that was elected supposedly on zero tolerance on corruption. Whether you shift the base of sugar growing to coast or to any other part of the country because the variety, there's good yield of variety, it will take shorter, whatever. We have sufficient ability to produce sugar in this country.
Right. And before we talk on the corruption, let's talk about the fact that you as politicians have been, quote unquote, been seen as being responsible for some of the woes the farmers are facing by encouraging the small-scale farming, which has limited them in terms of supply.
I don't think we have been encouraging that because that's the only option. Take for instance in Muhoroni, I think given the weather we have, sugarcane is the main thing. And then we are blessed to have 4 sugarcane factories. And this is what they have grown knowing. And if you ask them to do cassava, you have no alternative where you will sell cassava. You ask them to do maize, there's better yield across in the Nandi Hills. So they cannot compete them. But they can easily compete them in sugarcane growing, which they know better, and which they have somewhere to take to. They have the end user, who is the mailer.
Okay. But the nature of Kenyan land is that our land is subdivided into small pockets of land. And therefore, when you look at, for instance, the Muhoroni sugar farmer, he's constricted. That small piece of land is really where he will grow his sugarcane. What efforts or what have you done as the leaders in the region to put in place measures to ensure that at least the farmers have bigger pockets of land to work on, and are there plans to do the same?
I think farmers have little land in Western Kenya. But in Muhoroni circuit, farmers have big chunks of land.
Okay.
And they have dedicated it to sugarcane farming. And now they are feeling let down.
Okay. And as the farmers here in Muhoroni, and not just in Muhoroni, but in other parts of Kenya, particularly the small-scale sugarcane farmers, as they struggle to improve output, what would you say are the main challenges that they're facing?
The main challenges we have is when we have good sugarcane yield, then the factories don't have the capacity to mill them. So you find sugarcane rotting in the farms. And when the factories are able to take the sugarcane in good time, like is the case now, Kibos is milling to capacity. I am very grateful to the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture. When he came on board, he made sure he helped together with me, we were able to rehabilitate Chemelil, which is milling to top capacity. We were able to rehabilitate to some extent Muhoroni Sugar Company, which is under protective receivership, to a very good level. Their milling capacity is very good, very good now. We have Kibos, which is a privately owned sugar company, which is also doing well. But now when they were able to consume the sugarcane to full capacity and mill to full capacity, now they are confronted with the one problem, sugar glut. Where do they sell the milled sugar?
Right, right. And talking on the cost of producing sugar, which is quite high, let's talk about, let me give you an example. The cost of producing a ton of sugar in Western Kenya, and this is an estimate, is about 48,500, compared with competitors like Egypt, where, and these are rival producers, where cost of production there is 25,000, almost half this amount. What can be done about this?
What can be done is very simple. The cost of doing not only sugarcane farming, the cost of doing business in Kenya is always going up because of bureaucratic channels. There are so many government officers who want to load their interest here. There are so many taxes which you have to pay. If we want to address the plight of the farmers, we need to address the inputs. Then we need to deal with the bureaucratic schemes that have been put. Like now, you know, VAT was brought to the sugar growing.
Right.
Now, the man who is bearing the brand is a small sugarcane farmer. And this was never there, and it is not very necessary.
Okay. And you've touched repeatedly on the importers and our sugar deficit. You're saying there's sugar, but there's a sugar glut. Our sugar deficit is obviously filled by importers, as is the case. And these are local importers, because it has been found previously that the people who do the importations are locals. And this has given room to, of course, corruption and cartels. Let's talk about this and the fact that, of course, this is affecting the small-scale farmer.
Yes. I don't think that we cannot produce enough sugar for local consumption. Take, for instance, Egypt, where most of the imported sugar is supposed to be coming from. Egypt cannot suffice, the production in Egypt cannot suffice the local demand. So they are importing to subsidize. And if somebody tells you that because of the COMESA window, Egypt, the sugar we are having is coming from Egypt because Egypt is a COMESA country. That is a lie. It's a fake reason being used to bring in sugar illegally. Egypt cannot suffice its domestic demand. So the sugar that we are seeing in Kenya comes from Brazil. It lands in Cairo. It is Cairo or any other Egyptian towns. Then it is repackaged and then brought to Kenya as product of Egypt. When you look at it, it is Brazilian sugar.
So at the end of the day, there's no money that's going back to the pockets of the local producer, who is the local farmer.
No.
Okay. All right. And you talked about the COMESA window, and let me touch on the farmer again.
Yes.
How do we ensure our farmers are not strangled by imports from the COMESA region? Do you know how far we are on this?
I believe that even if, and I'm very grateful to His Excellency the President, we mentioned this and he got concerned. He made sure he sent his deputy to Kinshasa, to Congo, to go and present our grievances to the COMESA region, and we were given a window of 1 year. 1 year is not enough. 10 years is not enough. Even 20 may not be enough. We need discipline in the way we do business. We need discipline as the parent agriculture ministry. We need discipline at the Kenya Sugar Board, so that this vice called corruption, which enables imported sugar to come here. If imported, we should not fear competition. If imported sugar from Brazil is taxed properly and it lands in this market, there will be very little difference, although the cost of input of the sugar we are growing here is higher. But there will be very little difference, imagine, between the imported sugar from Brazil and our sugar here. But if you bring it from Brazil and you bring it through Panya route, either through Malawi, which cannot produce enough sugar, or through Tanzania, which does not have enough sugar for domestic use, or you bring it through Cairo, which is the popular route, or you bring it through Mombasa. Like now, I believe there's impunity. Sugar comes in through Mombasa port, which, if you make a visit to Mombasa port, is heavily infested with the anti-corruption officials, with special branch officers, with the CID officers, with the government, several other government agencies, with the customs officer, Hawkeye.
And as Jackie Maribe was talking about graft there's been talk that the sugar industry is run by untouchables, and therefore this is a situation that will prevail for a while, for as long as these issues are not addressed. Do you agree that corruption is what is affecting this industry?
That is true. That is true. That is true. We have industries even in the Moroni region. People who can, I'll just hear, I'm a member of parliament. I am in the area. I will just hear that very important guest passed through a sugar factory. And you will see in your TV crew, filming him as he goes around. And they are not aware, have not been informed. That shows you how untouchable they are.
Plans to privatize sugar factories to reduce inefficiency that will limit, of course, at the end of the day, imports. Do you think, because there's been talk on plans to privatize at least 5 sugar factories, do you think that this could be a solution to the crisis that the sugar industry is currently facing, quote-unquote crisis?
It could be some solution, but we need to inject some diligence in it, so that we may end up privatizing and getting them landing in the hands of the same people who are bringing in corruption. To bring, actually, part of the reason to bring in sugar is to make sure that my sugarcane industries collapse so that they are sold for a song to some well-willed people.
Okay. And do you feel that the Kenya Sugar Board has been effective in streamlining regulations pertaining to sugarcane growing and the harvesting of sugar?
I believe that Kenya Sugar Board to some extent has helped the farmers bail them out of some problems. But when it comes to surveillance on the illegal imports, I think I cannot support them. And this, I believe, either they're inefficient or they do not have enough gadgets. And there was a time when they had a very strong surveillance team in Mombasa. And I believe somebody somewhere, cannot even be Sugar Board, somebody somewhere higher than the Sugar Board must be the person who is coercing the Sugar Board to close the eyes on the illegal imports.
So what is the solution to all of this? Because I think you've touched on concerns bordering around illegal imports, bordering around the sugar glut, and of course, the sugar glut, I beg your pardon, and of course, bordering around the fact that the government seems to be encouraging large-scale farming in other parts of the country as opposed to Western Kenya, which you believe is the sugar breadbasket.
The government proposal to shift sugarcane growing to coast, which may have good yield within a short time, I think is a lucrative and ambitious program, but it's an exercise in futility until whether sugar will realize sugarcane growing at 6 months, 8 months, and will still open the door for corruption. Even the sugarcane in Mombasa will still be a futile effort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and of course Kenya's raw sugar production, and I'm reading this year, is expected to climb 17% to 700,000 tons this year, which is helped by improved supply of cane and higher factory capacity. So according to the Kenya Sugar Board, there have been milestones, there have been improvements in the sector. Do you agree, or do you still feel that there are parts of the country, such as, of course, your area there, Muhoroni, which, where this is not the case?
No, I think on the ground, that's more theory than practice. Yeah.
Okay.
On the ground, that's more theory. It looks lucrative, but it's more theory than ground, than reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we close, Shimiwa, what is the solution? That is what I asked you again, particularly regarding your area, because I think you were addressing the concerns of your people at grassroots level, which is the sugarcane farmer.
The solution is very simple, and I am pleading with His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. He means well for this country, and I believe Uhuru is incorruptible. He only needs to rein in the officers who are allowing or who are closing eyes for those who are bringing illegal imports. There is no illegal import of sugar in this country. Chemelil is able to mill and stand on its feet.
Okay.
Moroni under receivership, and they are very diligent receivers in Moroni today. Are very diligent receivers. We have had errant ones before. Are very diligent receivers in Moroni today, serving the interests of the farmer and the worker and the community.
Okay.
Given proper parameters, without interference from these holier-than-thou illegal importers, they will be able to mill enough sugar, pay workers in time, pay farmers in time. They will be able to stand on their feet as we wait for diligent investors to come.
Okay.
Diligent investors to come. And the solution for the investment would be this: PPP, private partnership program, so that the farmer brings his sugarcane and something is deducted, and that gives him a membership. We would not want a situation where well-willed barons somewhere are coming to buy Chemelil.
Right.
We want the government to support us so that the poor farmer in Chemelil is the one who buys the share, and the government leaves a little ownership, so that they coordinate with the government.
Thank you very much for your time, James Koyo. We've been talking to James Koyo, MP Muhoroni. Of course, more than 5 million people directly or indirectly depend on sugarcane farming in Kenya. And of course, he had addressed the plight of sugarcane farmers in the Western